Ghost stories are always filled to the brim with history. These stories have spawned from battlegrounds, cemeteries, and even houses. Some believe pain lasts forever. Trauma carries on to the afterlife, echoing the memories forever. A plague island, a castle set high upon the rocks, and a dilapidated chapel sitting alone in a field. There are places we almost expect to find a ghost waiting for us, yet we go there willingly. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at these 3 mysterious locations. Poveglia. In the Italian waters of the Venetian lagoon, between the cities of Venice and Lido, there is an island that has become almost synonymous with death. That island is Poveglia. Once home to a plague quarantine station, later retrofitted into a mental institution, it's no wonder people claim thousands of lost souls inhabit this island. But Poveglia didn't set out to become the island of nightmares. In fact, from 1793 to 1814, it was simply a lazaretto, or plague quarantine station. Poveglia's location made it a prime place for screening ships before docking in Venice. It wasn't even the only one. There were many of these types of stations throughout the lagoon. In a time when plagues were common, Venice had found isolation helped to soften the blow of many outbreaks. Before a trade ship was allowed to dock, travellers were to spend 40 days on Poveglia. In fact, the term quarantine comes from the French word for 40 days. In these days, the stays were pleasant. Travellers had their own apartments, were fed well, and could even drink and spend time together. However, when the plague outbreaks worsened, so did the conditions on Poveglia. Fear of the disease caused infected people to be shipped on an undeniably one-way trip to the island. It was so bad that it is believed people who didn't even have the plague were shipped off as well, left to die with the infected. Some numbers count the dead at over 160,000. Legend has it that over 50% of the topsoil is composed of human ash from the mass burning of the dead. Years later, in 1922, a mental hospital was opened on the island. The patients were quick to complain of ghosts and voices echoing throughout the halls. These claims, of course, were brushed aside at first, marked as the ranting of insane minds. It is said that due to its remote location, the mental hospital drew ill-reputed scientists and doctors who treated their patients as they pleased. This often culminated in abuse and experiments. Legends tell of one specifically heinous doctor who began performing experiments on his patients. This doctor was a great believer in lobotomies and performed many, often with crude tools and no anesthetic. The doctor was rumoured to hold even worse experiments in the bell tower of the hospital. Patients were often kept awake from the screams that echoed from there. As it is told, after being driven mad, either by his own actions or by the many ghosts already said to have been wandering the grounds, the doctor later threw himself off the bell tower of the hospital. According to a nurse who saw him fall, she claims he did not die from the fall, but to a ghostly mist who overtook the body once he landed. It seems the Italian people grow wary of people trying to get on the now forbidden island. Many residents express that they have no intention of going to the island. Some go as far to denounce its mental hospital days, calling it a rest home for the elderly. This, however, has been disproved with the types of equipment found inside. It remains illegal to go to the island. However, some people have been able to convince boaters to take them there. People who have visited the island have reported anything from the feeling of being watched to being scratched and pushed. Some hearing the screams of the mad doctor's victims. Even more eerie, the bell in the bell tower is still said to chime, even though it has been removed. The Banshee of Dunluce Castle. Perched atop an outcrop of rocks overlooking the ocean in Northern Ireland is Dunluce Castle. Even though it stands mostly in ruins, it remains one of the most iconic and beloved castles of Ireland. There have been tales of ghosts and hauntings for centuries, as the site has always held spiritual and tactical influence throughout the area. Local legends even tell of an entire kitchen falling off the castle onto the rocks below. Other tales of the castle include treasure hidden in the caves below the castle, mermaids luring sailors to their death, and many executions held on the southeast tower. The castle, which served as the seat of the Clan MacDonald, was first occupied by the McQuillan family in the 1500s. Although many people lost their lives falling from the craggy pinnacle, there is one death that seems to echo the halls of the castle to this day: the Banshee of Dunluce Castle. Banshees are female spirits of Irish lore. These spirits are said to herald the death of a family member, their presence usually accompanied by painful wails and sorrow for their loved ones. This particular spirit is said to be the ghost of Maeve Rowe. Maeve was the only daughter of Lord McQuillan. Lord McQuillan was a stern nobleman, and his daughter was a woman who had her own ideals. After falling in love with an officer in her father's army, Maeve is banished to a tower in the castle. McQuillan would not have his daughter marry a lowly officer and disgrace the family, so he simply locked her away. O'Kane came to Maeve's rescue. In a brave and maybe foolish manner, he climbed the tower and carried Maeve down to safety. That safety didn't last long, however. Together, they stole a small rowboat and attempted an escape out to sea. The couple did not make it far. That night, a storm came in quickly and violently, easily tossing the boat against the sharp, jagged rocks below the castle. The story of the Banshee of Dunluce Castle almost plays out like a fairy tale. A damsel being locked in a tower and a heroic rescue, but this tale ends in tragedy. The body of Maeve was never recovered, but part of her will always remain at the castle. On dark, stormy nights, visitors tell of Maeve's sorrowful wails echoing the rocky halls. Having never gotten the escape and life she longed for, she cries out for her loss. Minster Chapel. When we think of paranormal investigators, we may think of modern times and fancy equipment. However, people have been ghost hunting for as long as there has been interest in the afterlife. One piece of early evidence is from Minster Chapel. Minster Chapel is located in a field near Preston, Hertfordshire, England. It was built in the 14th century and was already falling apart by the 17th. It wasn't until the early 1900s, though, that paranormal rumours started to blossom. Local historian Reginald Hine and his photographer friend Thomas William Latchmore frequented the site. And in 1907, Latchmore produced a photo of a single monk climbing the now non-existent stairs. The picture was claimed to be taken at midnight on Halloween. All of this sounds like the perfect circumstances for a ghost to appear. After this picture surfaced, other sightings began pouring in. These included a glowing cross and ringing bells. Some even report distant music. Legends began flying. Now there were stories of lost tunnels from the Crusades and murdered nuns. All of this came to a halt, however, when Latchmore admitted they had faked the picture. Although it was never revealed who posed for the picture, many believe it to be Hine. Hine later republished the picture with no mention of its authenticity. Hine's love for the dilapidated chapel continues even after his death. When he died, he requested his ashes to be scattered at the temple, as a promise to protect it long after he was gone. Hine stated, "Trespassers and sacrilegious persons take warning, for I will proceed against them with the utmost rigour of the law, and, after my death and burial, I will endeavour in all ghostly ways to protect and haunt its hallowed halls." Even if the monk did turn out to be fake, a paranormal investigator named Peter Underwood visited the chapel in the late 1940s, where he also claimed to see a glowing cross and hearing the distant music, although he did state it could have been a trick of the moonlight. So, is Minster Chapel haunted, or did Hine want it to be so bad that he and his friend fabricated the whole thing? We may never know, but if ghosts do exist, surely Hine is watching over his beloved chapel even now. Without a doubt, people will keep hunting for ghosts. Why do we continue to do it? Perhaps we are looking for proof of life after death. Maybe it's just the thrill of the hunt. Or maybe it's just to explain away something you've experienced because you have no other way to do so. After all, we all just want answers, no matter how dark and gory they may be. But what do you make of these mysterious places? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.